Good morning, Narad. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you for sending another recording. They wanted, I do not know what they wanted, really, truly speaking.
Well, I have a problem with what they wanted, and I'll speak to you personally about it. Just a minute.
Okay,
You
okay.
see, the difficulty in the Russian soul
Oh,
is this wanting things to be emotional.
right, right. I know
I,
it very well.
I grew up with this amongst Russian people, and constantly it was always either sorrow or great joy or great emotion.
Right, right, right.
And so this bliss of Brahman has none of that in it. Sri
Correct.
Aurobindo would never have spoken emotionally about the bliss of Brahman. It would be his vast, vast knowledge, his vast, infinite
Mm, mm,
realization. But if they want, I tried to do what I could. If
mm,
they don't like it, then they can.
mm.
I'll give other people I could suggest. Be happy to. I can't see your face, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yes, my camera is off. Yes, I'm here.
There we are. Very good. It's always good to see you.
Yes, nice to see you.
Have you put on some weight?
Yes, quite a bit.
I thought so. Yes.
You see, I became cheeky.
Yes. Yes.
We've both put on some weight, Narad. How are you doing this morning? Hi, Nilisha.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't know if we'll have anyone else to join today.
Alina is supposed to join.
She's going to try to join. Yes.
Mm,
It may have been a little too much for people last week.
really?
And I can understand that that when we go so deeply, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but we have to do that. And before I begin our meetings, I always ask Sri Aurobindo to give me some deeper insight, to even read through me, read through this voice that has to be egoless when it reads Savitri. It has to be so full of gratitude and humility that there can be no ego attached to it at all when it reads Savitri. And when it explains Savitri, it can only explain what he gives us, because there is no realization of this being of what he is speaking about. I have not been there. Most likely, I won't be there in this life. I will be there one day, but at least you understand my position.
Yeah.
So we are going to start with an unshaped consciousness, desired light. Can you put that up? Scroll down a bit. Little further down. Down.
I don't see it.
Keep going. Keep going. Okay, here we are.
Okay, I can see it.
An unshaped consciousness. Yes. What was that ring? Was that someone else wanting to join or something?
I think it is somebody's phone making the
Okay.
sound.
Okay. Let's just take a minute of intense concentration and gratitude to be able to be together in reading Savitri. Radhe, would you like to begin?
Sure. An unshaped consciousness desired light, and a blank prescience yearned towards distant change. As if a childlike finger laid on a cheek, reminded of the endless need in things, the heedless mother of the universe, an infant longingly clutched the silver vast. Insensibly somewhere a breach began, a long, lone line of hesitating hue, like a vague smile tempting a desert heart, troubled the far rim of life's obscure sleep.
Okay, so we'll stop there. If I could make a suggestion and ask you to read much slower,
Sure.
not so quickly. Also, we have to feel the rhythm in each line, not only the vibration, but the poetic rhythm also. Sri Aurobindo is so aware of that. We begin. An unshaped consciousness desired light. This, we all feel that we have a consciousness, but it's usually so scattered. And this consciousness has not yet been shaped, but it still desires light. And this blank foreknowledge, this blank prescience, is yearning towards distant change. Those two lines alone are so powerful, because then he changes after that and tells us what is happening. So let's look at those two lines. Vladimir?
Yes.
Desired is not desired in our sense. It's deeply aspired for.
Right. Well, it can't do but yet do anything else because it's unshaped consciousness within the darkness. So
Yes.
the desire is a natural kind of movement of that aspiration of this consciousness which is not revealed yet.
Yes.
So
Why is the prescience blank? Prescience is a foreknowledge.
yes.
Why is it blank?
Because there is nothing yet formed in terms of manifestation. It's not manifested in anybody yet. It is within the nature.
Exactly.
It's still unconscious.
Yes, it is unconscious in some way. Well, it's kind of unconscious means not reflecting upon itself, not knowing itself, because it needs the body for it. If it would have the body, then it would know itself, but it doesn't have it. And so,
And then we have this extraordinary 4 lines. We look at these lines. We have a childlike, we have a mother, we have an infant, longing. He puts all of these words in there, in these 4 lines, as if, as I've talked many times to Nilisha, Sri Aurobindo loves to use as if. His feeling of as if, he doesn't state it fully. He just says as if a childlike finger, not a children's finger, a child's finger, a childlike finger, laid on a cheek that reminds the mother of the universe, who at this point is heedless, of the endless need in things. This infant longing, this shaped longing clutched the somber vast. Oh, the somber vast. So we have to look at that very carefully, these 4 lines, because they are so powerful.
Mm.
I mean, this is our first glimpse of the mother in Savitri. As if a childlike finger laid on a cheek, reminded of the endless need in things, the heedless mother of the universe. An infant longing clutched the somber vast. Who would like to read something? We have some new people with us. Could you
Morning.
introduce yourselves? Is it Monica?
Monica and Ashwini.
And
This is
Ashwini.
Ashwini. Sorry, I'm late.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
What do you feel, Nilisha, of 4 lines?
Like when I look at the word infant and childlike, can we say that these words are being implied to the creation? Like the creation is longing for the mother, and the creation is sort of clutching on to the mother of the universe, because the creation is still unmanifest yet. So I don't know, maybe.
Oh, it's very good, actually, very good. He's not referring to any personality here.
Yeah.
The childlike finger, it's an image, as if a childlike finger. An infant longing is not an infant's longing. It's a longing of, like a childlike longing, an infant longing, an undeveloped longing
Yes.
is clutching this somber vast. And then we will see what happens as a result.
But when the finger is laid, I was always curious about this passage. It is laid, the finger, childlike finger laid on a cheek, on whose cheek? On the child's cheek or the mother's cheek? This is...
Actually, it would be on the mother's cheek.
I also thought it was on the mother's cheek, as a child stretches hand and puts the finger on the mother's cheek.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And as a result, then we will see what happens next. But it's a marvelous passage of 4 lines, because it is expressing the need of things for the mother of the universe to manifest. And we see as a result that insensibly somewhere a breach began. Well, we know what a breach is. It's a breakthrough. It's a tremendous breakthrough. And then this wonderful line of alliteration, a long, lone line of hesitating hue. And he compares it to a vague smile tempting a desert heart. Troubles this far rim of life's obscure sleep. So the breach is extremely important here. Insensibly, without any seeming sense, a breach begins. And then we have to try and feel this long, lone line. It's a hue. It's a hesitating hue, sort of, if we could see the sun coming out occasionally behind a cloud, like a vague smile tempting a desert heart, totally empty heart.
Mm.
And that troubles this far rim of life's obscure sleep. Who else would like to comment?
I was just looking through, hesitating you. I was looking for the pictures from Yuta of some of these verses, which also adds quite a bit. This is, I don't know if you can see it, this is that smile or breach on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be really nice, I don't have all of these, I have some, but it would be really lovely if as we go through these, at least on some of them, we could show Huta's pictures of these verses, because it brings a whole nother feeling and sense. Yes, there you go, nodded, woohoo.
You see this book?
Yes, I do.
This is all my correspondence with Huta.
Mm.
Oh.
And it will take me days and days to get it all scanned and then put into a form that everyone can see. It was an extraordinary relationship of brother and sister. And it was Mother who wrote to me and asked me if I would photograph all of Huta's paintings.
Wow, nice.
And I worked for weeks and weeks. But Mother said he should not at all let the Matrimandir gardens suffer. So she wrote to me and said, if you could keep an hour every day or a few hours a week, I would be very happy, because I know you will make a success of it. Oh, how that filled my heart. Anyway, yes, it's a good idea to show those photos once in a while. What happens after life's obscure sleep is troubled at this far rim? What happens is an eye of deity who arrives from the other side of boundlessness, looks through the dumb deeps. So let's read those lines. Monica. Could you read those few lines?
A scout in a reconnaissance from the sun, it seemed amid a heavy cosmic rest, the topper of a sick and weary world, to seek for a spirit, soul, and desolate, to fall and to recollect forgotten place.
Yeah, your voice is breaking, Monica.
Yeah, it's breaking up pretty bad, unfortunately. We can hear some words, but it's broken up. Why is that, Vladimir? Because of the
internet connection.
connection, yeah. Is it Ashwini?
Ashwini.
Yeah.
Could you read once?
Yes. Do I start from arrived?
No, starting from this arrived, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Arrived from the other side of boundlessness, an eye of deity peered through the dumb deeps, a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. It seemed amid a heavy cosmic rest, the topper of a sick and weary world, to seek for a spirit, soul, and desolate, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss.
Ah, yes. Pronunciation. I noticed you roll the R in spirit. And this was a criticism of Yeats when he rolled all his R's in one of his poems. I don't know if it's still rolled. Do you know, Vladimir?
Well, it's just allophone of some people say spirit, some of spirit.
Yes.
Well, it's for example in the UK itself, you will have so many varieties,
Yes.
R and R and all kind of.
Yeah.
Scottish will be having
But
more.
it's not a bad idea to look at the dictionaries that Sri Aurobindo used and how he used certain words. I like the R rolled, generally, spirit,
Me
but
too.
it's not absolutely necessary. The word weary is not weary, it's weary.
Okay.
Wary.
Do you remember that?
We have to learn this. I also say wary.
It's weary. It's weary, yes. Okay, so.
And I have one more question. You said prescience. I heard prescience, and somehow used to this prescience. Maybe it's wrong.
The best thing is that we can always look it up. And I usually go to Google and look. Could you do that for us, Nilisha? Look up prescience. I've always heard, and a blank prescience yearned towards distant change. So it does beat short long. And a blank prescience yearned toward distant change. It is iambic throughout.
It says prescience.
Prescience.
Prescience. The British.
I'll have to check.
See, that's always our problem between British and American.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm guilty of American, so.
No, I'm not guilty. Just American.
Okay, now.
I can play it on loud for everyone. So this is the British pronunciation. Prescience.
So it is prescience, okay.
And this is American.
Prescience.
No, well then I was British this time, okay. So let's look at this. You have to scroll down a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
Prescience.
That doesn't make too much sense. Prescient is better. That one you had before previously.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Prescience.
Yes. Prescience there, of course.
Yes.
So where shall we begin? Arrived? From the other side, how is there an other side of boundlessness? See, we cannot understand that with the mind. An other side, boundlessness is boundless. And yet, Sri Aurobindo is telling us that this eye of deity has arrived from the other side of boundlessness, and it looks through the dumb deeps. Dumb is always silent in Savitri. There's no negative sense to dumb ever in Savitri. And this eye of deity is a scout. Now, Ashwini used the French pronunciation, reconnaissance. How did you pronounce it?
I said reconnaissance.
Reconnaissance.
I've heard the mother's audio of reciting the Savitri in these lines, so kind of stuck with me when I said that.
Yes, well, I mean, she would naturally use the French pronunciation of such a word.
Yeah.
And we can beat it, a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. Perfectly. But it seemed amid a heavy cosmic rest, the torpor of a sick and weary world. What does it seem? It seemed to seek for a spirit, soul and desolate, a spirit that was too fallen to remember forgotten bliss. As you said last week, Vladimir, it's happening again here. It has happened before, and now we have that spirit, that soul and desolate is trying to, but it's too fallen even to recollect forgotten bliss. So it was a previous pralaya, and now it's trying again. Anyone else like to comment?
I'm trying to understand why it is seeking for a spirit.
For any spirit.
If it cannot, if it's forgotten, I'm just wondering what.
Well, the spirit is soul alone and desolate, too fallen. So it's unable to recollect the bliss that once was. This bliss that once was, Mother tells us, has occurred many, many times. And when Sri Aurobindo, they asked, what was Sri Aurobindo doing all these millennia? He answered, simply carrying on the evolution. And we all know that Mother said she was there since the beginning of the evolution, working for it. So let's look again at the lines, because they're very important. We have this scout arriving from the other side of boundlessness with an eye of deity, an eye of deity, the divine, an eye of the divine, peering through the silent deeps, who is also a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. From the sun. The sun is our symbol, of course. Savitri is the daughter of the sun. And this heavy cosmic rest, that is the torpor of a sick and weary world. What world are we speaking of here, Vladimir?
Yeah, the dark world of unconscious being which falls back into its own sleep, some numberless world,
Yes.
which doesn't want to come out from that torpor or that state of rest. But what is interesting, a scout came, or the eye piercing, peering through the dumb deeps, came to seek for a spirit within this fallen being. It is looking, where is that spirit in this fallen being? I want to find it. There must be something there. Some spirit must be there, because the whole fallen being is coming from the divine, basically.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's seeking for that spirit. And then what happens is the line that Satprem used for his book, The Adventure of Consciousness. We'll finish with that today, I think. Or we do have more time. Okay. Could you scroll up a bit?
Yes. And this spirit which he is looking in, this fallen being, is also desolate.
It's very desolate. Very, 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 very desolate. That sick and weary world, that desert heart even. There are so many references here to this spirit seems to be alone. Spirit that's alone and desolate. And too fallen. So alone, soul, desolate, too fallen. Sri Aurobindo gives us everything in this picture.
And also a reminder that this spirit once had bliss, but now the bliss is forgotten.
Yes.
It has to be reminded by the scout.
Yes. Intervening in a mindless universe. Its message crept through the reluctant hush, calling the adventure of consciousness and joy, and conquering nature's disillusioned breast, compelled renewed consent to see and feel. We have to understand everything that he has written prior to this also in connection with this. Because here what is happening is that this message that's creeping through this hush, that's reluctant, it doesn't want to manifest. It's a mindless universe, and it intervenes in that. And that intervention is the call of the adventure of consciousness and joy. And it's able to conquer the disillusioned breast of nature and compel again renewed consent to see and feel.
Interestingly, may I today read the message where Mother explains that every attempt, actually, until everything is done, nothing is done. And every attempt of our change is as if failure, every time a failure, see. Every change which we receive, every victory which we get is actually showing us again that we have to start from zero, and again as if from zero. Every time, whatever change we achieved in our life, it looks like there was no change. This infinite inconscient which is constantly intruding, constantly bringing new challenges, new dimensions of incapacity of us being in this darkened or separated universe, is constantly a reminder of this work. And you can see it here in this passage very beautifully.
Yes.
Again, it is compelled renewed consent. Again, this consent has to be renewed again to see and feel. Again, they attempt to come to victory, and again to fail, and again to start. And it is going on and on until the work is done and everything is conquered.
Yes, exactly. And I remember a letter from Mother to Jyoti Priya. And Mother says, to you who have realized your soul, incredible, to you who have realized your soul. And when Jyoti Priya met Raman Maharshi, he said to her, you are already a realized being, but you're not aware of it. And so And so Mother says to Jyotipriya, to you who have realized your soul, understand that until you can change everyone else, it's a long letter, you are not complete. And this is that idea of failure's a strong word, but it's apt. It is apt. Until everything can be conquered, nothing is truly conquered. Good, Vladimir, very good. And Satrem's book, Sri Aurobindo or the Adventure of Consciousness. He took it from this line.
He forgot about joy.
Uh,
We should have added joy.
No, that was one of his difficulties. Okay. Not much joy there. But Mother did say that Sri Aurobindo was behind him as he was writing The Adventure of Consciousness. And he was, we have, I think, Prema and I are now in the yoga of, we're in the secret knowledge. And we hear there that Sri Aurobindo can feel the life of other things, and their thoughts come into his ken. Their feelings come into his ken. He's already feeling everything. And here, this renewed consent is compelled in the very beginning. Don't forget this, this is only book 1, Canto 1, page 3. We are moving very slowly through this, and it's the correct way, I feel, to move. So, intervening in a universe that is without a mind, its message crept through this hush that is so reluctant. And in the message, it calls the adventure of consciousness and joy. As a result, it conquers nature's disillusioned breast and compels renewed consent to see and feel. And we have to remember what came previously, and then we have to prepare ourselves for what will come next.
What is interesting, can I say a word for this?
Yes, surely.
What reminds me, for the first time, I see that since we discussed already Sankhya, the Sankhya, which is coming much later as a philosophy or vision, there is Purusha who is attending to Prakriti, and when he attends to her, so to say, he's kind of starting in her the movement of being. She becomes alive, as it were, and creates all those faculties of consciousness, all those karmendriyas and jnanendriyas and buddhi and manas and ahankara. Everything is becoming alive in her, but only when he comes and attends to her, when he witnesses her, when he looks at her, as it were. So this his look, this eye, this reconnaissance, which is piercing through the other shore or the other side of boundlessness, coming into this sleeping something power, and wakes her up and compels her again to this renewed consent to consciousness, to his consciousness, because it is his attention. He paid attention to her, and she got that, she got pierced by his attention and was compelled to see and feel again.
And so this is the mother,
Mm-hmm.
the heedless mother of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
that we just had a few lines above. It's very good, Vladimir, very good. And the I of deity is the Purusha.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes, yes. You can go on for a few more minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. Who would like to read?
Oh, I can read.
Good.
A thought was sown in the unsounded void. A sense was born within the darkness depths. A memory quivered in the heart of time, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. But the oblivion that succeeds the fall had blotted the crowded tablets of the past, and all that was destroyed must be rebuilt, and old experience labored out once more.
So we have 8 lines here, 8 lines, all tied together. And perhaps I could read just a little bit in a letter of Sri Aurobindo to Amal. Uh, I can never be certain of newly written stuff. I mean, in this Savitri, until I have looked at it again after an interval. Apart from the quality of new lines, there is the combination with others in the whole, which I have modified more than anything else in my past revisions. It is so important for us to see this as a whole, not in pieces. See the whole thing of Book 1, Canto 1, the symbol dawn, as the dawn beginning and how things are going to be rebuilt. It's so important.
Mm.
A thought was sown in the unsounded void. When we sow something in horticulture, we usually throw it out with our hand, like grains that we want to grow. And here a thought is sown in this unsounded void. There'll be a lot to talk about in this, and we'll have to end with these 8 lines. And a sense was born within the depths of darkness. A memory quivers in the heart of time, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. But the oblivion that succeeds the fall had blotted the crowded tablets of the past. All that was destroyed must be rebuilt, and old experience labored out once more.
Yeah, incredible.
So much here, yes, so much. So a thought Are we back?
Reassemble.
Pardon?
Yeah, we are back.
Okay, good, good, good. Um, a thought was sown So this thought was sown in the unsounded, the void unsounded. To sound something is to penetrate its depth. We use a sounding line in the sea. We used to, now we have digital everything, but it used to be a piece of metal on a long string, and we would sound the depths of something. We could tell how many meters deep it was. So it's an unsounded void, a void that has never been sounded, so deep. And a sense was born within the darkness depths. Also a memory quivered. When we quiver, you know, we shake. Heart of time. As if, here's as if again, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. As if only, huh? But the oblivion that succeeds the fall, that comes after the fall, had blotted the crowded tablets of the past. All the past history has been blotted. And these tablets are so crowded that they're all blotted. So therefore, everything that was destroyed now has to be rebuilt. And even old experience has to be labored out once more. And we'll end with the last line after we've discussed this, because that's so important. So let's go back. A thought was sounded. Anyone like to comment?
Maybe a few words I can say. We have the same imagery. I think it is in the Veda, where this manas, or the seed of this mind, or the thought, as it were, was actually put into this void, which was at the beginning, and from there all creation comes into existence. By the way, in the same way, Krishna says in the Gita that he conceives, he puts the seed into the Brahman, into the spirit, and where spirit is yoni. Actually, it's like a location, yoni, which holds the universe, the mother. Samam Brahman, the Brahman which is equal in every way. He casts the seed from which all universe comes into existence.
Yes.
So he conceives the universe in a way. So this is the conception by the thought, yeah? To cast the seed into the unsounded void, into that void which is like a spirit waiting to be conceived by the divine. The same image which is from before this, for the eye which is peering through, and the scout of the reconnaissance of the sun. The same idea of the divine attending to this void which is soulless, soundless, forgotten bliss, fallen again, succeeds the fall. This is also an important reminder that there was a fall.
Yes.
There was no fall before also. There was some other state which preceded the fall. So there was the fall, and after the fall there was an oblivion which followed it and blotted the crowded tablets of the past. So the past was separated from us. We have no access to it. We do not know what happened in the past. There was a gap. And,
yes, and everything that was destroyed had to be rebuilt. We had to start from the beginning, as it were, again. So all of that we've read about Atlantis, Lemur, the Incas, all of that knowledge we don't have anymore. What were these huge airfields that the Incas had on top of the mountains? We don't know what they were used for. So all of this information that was, all of this, and the evolution of planes, satellites, other things, was far more than we have in this present age. Far more developed. Atlantis especially. So we know only that everything that was destroyed now has to be rebuilt. And old experience has to be labored out once more. Period. Full stop. And then all can be done if the God touch is there. Through even the darkest passages of Savitri, when Ashwapati Sri Aurobindo has to enter these realms of falsehood, mother of evil, sons of darkness, he always lifts us at one point. And here he lifts us again. All can be done if the God touch is there. Thank you all. Namaste. Namaste.